I'm just gonna get right to it today. Anybody who doesn't see a problem with all of these reports linking Kobbie Mainoo away from the club and reporting that he isn't happy with his game time and reporting that there's a distinct possibility that in a year or so he does depart the football club. Anybody who doesn't see an issue with this situation has gone absolutely insane. There's something wrong with you. Stop it. Get some help urgently. Because I think I'm losing my mind reading all of this. Now, I want to make this very, very clear. These are all just reports, right? Nothing is concrete. Nothing is really in the midst of happening. It's all still early days. And I have to say this as well, too. I do not believe Kobbie Mainoo will leave the football club this window. I don't. However, on the flip side, everybody trying to pretend like this is all smoke and it's all noise from journalists and it's all people using Man United's name. I'm sorry, right? I feel like you're being purposely obtuse here. Everybody takes David Ornstein's word as bond, basically, whenever he says anything. Everybody respects and trusts Laurie Whitwell as a very, very reliable Man United source. Yet, the second that news comes out we don't really want to hear, it's like, you know how journalists are. You know how they use Man United's name. Do me a favor, man. Seriously, I'm pissed today, man. I'm pissed. I'm just gonna say it as it is. I've been pissed the last 24 hours. I really considered not making this video because I've seen so many people speak about it already, and I don't even want to give it the time of day. But the more I think about it, the more it annoys me. Kobbie Mainoo leaving Man United, and in the circumstances surrounding it as well, too. At the time of recording, this is being recorded before the Grimsby Town. Kobbie Mainoo has played 0 minutes this year. 0. We played 2 games, and he's played 0 minutes in either of them. Some people seem to think this isn't the end of the world, right? It's just the first 2 games. Amorim has said that he sees Kobbie as a huge part of his team. He sees him really improving in the future. Why are you getting so worked up about it? It's only 2 games. First and foremost, it's not really only 2 games. I was at the Europa League final, 3-4 months ago when we lost to Spurs. Horrible game. Horrible day in general, right? I've already spoken to you guys. That's one of the worst days of my life as a footballing fan, right? I remember that game. Kobbie Mainoo barely saw the pitch. I'm not exaggerating, by the way. He barely saw the pitch. 1-0 down for the entirety of the second half plus injury time. And we brought on numerous players until in the very last seconds of the game, Kobbie Mainoo came on for Patrick Dorgu in one last desperate attempt to save the game. This is just an example I'm picking out of thin air, right? But it kind of proves that Kobbie Mainoo not playing in the first 2 games of the season isn't just a coincidence. It's not due to circumstance. The game state dictated that Kobbie wasn't really needed compared to Ugarte. Save me it, guys, right? Why is it that when things happen, we try and cover our eyes and pretend it's not happening? This was a Europa League final. We were chasing a game, needed a goal, needed a spark, needed some inspiration, and Kobbie Mainoo was not trusted to be that spark. He was not viewed in the eyes of Ruben Amorim as someone that could change the game. Fact! In fact, think back to most of our Europa League campaign last year, which by the time it really kind of got serious, became our entire season, right? The Premier League became second thought for Amorim. He even conceded it himself. He said, I hope the fans can understand we're going to take this and make it our priority. And let's be real. Bruno and Casemiro were the starters virtually every single game. Kobbie would either come off the bench or not feature whatsoever. So people throwing me these stats now about, well, look how many games he played under Amorim last season. He played in the dead rubbers in the Premier League when the season was done. When it actually matters, Amorim does not trust Mainoo. He doesn't see him in his plans, which really isn't the biggest problem for me, right? In theory, right? We just look at it for face value, right? A manager not viewing a player as optimal for the way he wants to play, that happens all the time, right? That happens all the time. That's not the biggest problem here. But I think when you specifically add context to this situation, it is. This is a player that 2 years ago was Man United's one shining light in one of our worst seasons ever. We finished 8th place, and the only shining light that came out of that year was the emergence of this young midfield talent from the academy, from the day one, that came into the team and gave us some life. Kobbie Mainoo. All the way to the FA Cup final, where he won man of the match, I believe, and scored the winner from midfield. What's an 18-year-old boy playing in the first team for Man United, delivering us silverware. And beyond that, that same season, went to the Euros, again as an 18-year-old, broke into a side that under Gareth Southgate was infamously famous for infamously famous, not even a phrase. It was infamous, excuse me, for really being difficult to break into from any kind of outsider. We know Gareth Southgate has his favorites. He broke into that side in the knockout phases and was a huge part in England going all the way to the Euro final, where again he started and lost out to the best team in that tournament, Spain. That was year 18 for Kobbie Mainoo, but year 1 for him in football. In that moment, no one would ever have doubted Kobbie Mainoo's quality as a player. No one would have doubted his talent. No one would have doubted his potential. No one would have doubted his stock in the game. We all looked at Kobbie Mainoo as a real star for Man United, but also for the future in football. When you look at the biggest young players and what they could go on to do, Kobbie Mainoo was in and amongst the forefront of that, right? There's obviously huge players like the Yamals. Kobbie was viewed as like, oh yeah, he could be next up in that position. Last season, came in late, came in unfit a bit, came in injured as well too from the Euro campaign the year prior. Lots of uncertainty around Ten Hag as well too. The system was killing every single midfielder. And yeah, I actually still thought Kobbie started the season decently. And I felt he had way too much to do from a defensive point of view. Really kind of holding back what we could see from him going forward, which is where I believe Kobbie does his best work. And then Ruben Amorim came in. Whole new setup, whole new formation, whole new idea of how he wants to play football, and a whole new role for Kobbie Mainoo. Now playing in a 2. Except he doesn't view Kobbie Mainoo as a great midfielder in a 2. And to be fair to him, I don't disagree. I don't think Kobbie Mainoo is an ideal central midfielder in a 2, because I think a midfielder under Ruben Amorim needs to be strong, aggressive, front-footed, wins his duels, carries the ball forward, defends, passes with a high regularity. When you're playing in a 2, your responsibility is that much more. I think Kobbie Mainoo is optimal and brilliant in a 3, as he's shown to this point in his career. However, we don't play that way. So in response to that, Amorim has tried him as one of the 2 number 10s. He's come up with some moments here and there, but again, it doesn't really suit him. So much so that 2 games into the year, just to kind of wrap this up, he is not even viewed as a guy that can come in and change the game. He's not viewed in Amorim's plans. I don't know why people are pretending like that's wrong to say. Why are we pretending like Kobbie Mainoo is viewed by Ruben Amorim as a big player for him? He's not. He's not. In the pecking order at the moment, he looks like the 4th choice midfielder. And the most damning statement to really summarize this whole situation up is Ruben Amorim at the weekend saying, well, I view Casemiro and Ugarte in competition, and I view Bruno and Kobbie in competition. So to get into the team, Kobbie needs to get in over Bruno Fernandes. So effectively, he's never going to start any serious game for Man United, because Bruno Fernandes under Ruben Amorim will start and play every single game and virtually every single minute as well too. He will. He's the captain. That's his most trusted lieutenant. He's the best player on the team based on his track record at the club. I understand, but don't go talking to me about how much you value and rate Kobbie Mainoo and then in the same breath say, well, he's not playing unless Bruno drops out the team. So then he's never playing. If Bruno Fernandes can't be dropped or substituted in the first 2 games of this Premier League season, where he has been pretty average to sometimes even bad, then I'm sorry. He's never getting dropped anyways, bro. Kobbie will be lucky to get moments where, okay, maybe Bruno, we're winning 3-0, if that ever even happens. He comes out of the game just to rest, and Kobbie Mainoo gets those minutes. If not, guys, I don't expect to see Kobbie Mainoo in any game that's tight or fiercely contested, or United are looking to come back in. Amorim doesn't view him as a suitable game changer in that regard. The frustrating bit is it all kind of comes in the middle of a huge contract negotiation that, at the time of writing, is not really going anywhere. The last year or so has seen Kobbie Mainoo and his representatives at a war with Man United in terms of how much his team views and values him and how much Man United values him. Kobbie Mainoo at the moment is being paid £20,000 a week. He's still on his academy contract. He views himself as a big player for Man United, or someone that should be a big player for Man United, and he wants that to be accurately represented in his contract. Now, there's been reports coming out that Kobbie wants 180 to 200,000 pounds a week. I don't have any proof or sources to contest that or to validate that. But in my opinion, I think that's talk from the club. I think that's being briefed from the club. I don't believe in my heart of hearts, and I have no way of proving this, but it's just my opinion, that Kobbie Mainoo is demanding 200,000 pounds a week by Man United. On the flip side, I also think a lot of these rumors linking Kobbie to an exit and linking him to different clubs could also be agent talk as well too, to try and get his players some leverage in the situation. I'm going to leave the contract talk to the side because that needs to be discussed and come to a conclusion in its own time, right? In its own space. What I will say though, is that if you are trying to convince a player to sign on for the future to your football club and fully buy in to the footballing project and how he fits into it, not playing him for the first 2 games is going to accomplish anything but that. That is not earning you any leverage in that situation. If anything, Kobbie Mainoo is already not probably happy with how much the club values him from a financial point of view, but now we're also showing him we don't really value him from a footballing point of view either. So why, if you are Kobbie Mainoo, when you've also seen in the last few years, by the way, Garnacho's on the verge of leaving, Rashford's left the football club as well too. Look, just because you're a Man United boyhood academy product, it means absolutely nothing these days. They'll get your ass out of there just like that, bro. They will. They will. Do you think just because Kobbie Mainoo's from the academy, they're going to value him and no matter what, we're going to keep you? Absolutely not. This ownership and this club have shown now that anyone can get it. Anyone can get smoked. This isn't the Fergie days anymore where if you're an academy product, look, they're going to try and get you the best move, or they're going to really take care of you, or you're really going to be prioritized, you're really going to be valued. That's not the case anymore. If I'm Kobbie Mainoo and I look at how the last 6 months have gone, I am seriously questioning where my future lies. Where my future lies at the club and where my future lies, period. There's a World Cup coming up in a few months. At the end of the season, these guys are going to the World Cup. Kobbie Mainoo 2 years ago started a Euro final, and now his future and his place on the plane to the US, it's now in jeopardy. That has to weigh on his mind as well too. But just in general, at 19, soon to be 20 years of age, you need to be playing. And people will say, well, look, there's plenty of 20, 19-year-olds that across Europe don't start every single game for their team. Warren Zaire-Emery, for example, with PSG. He doesn't play every single game. Guys, I understand that, but also not every 19, 20-year-old is the same. Warren Zaire-Emery wasn't starting a Euro final or a World Cup final for his national team a year or two ago when he was 18 years old, right? Kobbie Mainoo was. Warren Zaire-Emery was not winning man of the match and scoring the winning goal in cup finals for PSG when he was 18 years old. Kobbie Mainoo was. I mean, look, I love Carlos Baleba, for example, but this shows the irony in all of this. We're all head over heels about Carlos Baleba. He should be worth this much. We need to do anything possible to get him in the club. Guys, Carlos Baleba has not accomplished anything more in his career than Kobbie Mainoo has. Kobbie Mainoo has reached higher heights in his career than Carlos Baleba is. And I'm seeing Man United fans saying, well, Kobbie Mainoo, he might not really be as good as we all thought he was anyways. Like, let's not choose a player over the club. They're willing to discard this guy simply because the current manager doesn't value him. But with Carlos Baleba, we're all head over heels. And this is not me switching up on Carlos Baleba. I think he's amazing. I think his ceiling is sky high. I think he's a top player. But you see the irony in the situation here. And then finally, right, Ruben Amorim. This all really stems down to the fact that Amorim doesn't value Kobbie Mainoo in a 2. Again, I don't disagree with that. I don't think Kobbie does necessarily suit a 2 that well. My question to you, though, is who does? Who? Who in this Man United team as a midfielder suits a midfield 2? Bruno Fernandes doesn't. Do not try and sell me the idea that Bruno Fernandes is most suited playing in a deep midfield 2 for Man United in a 3-back. No, he's not. He's not. He's an attacking midfielder. Manuel Ugarte doesn't suit it. Manuel Ugarte looks like he's drowning every time he comes on the pitch. I guess Casemiro suits it a bit more than what he was doing under Ten Hag, but you're telling me Casemiro would be better in this kind of role than in a 3-man midfield where he's at the base and he's got 2 guys around him. He'd probably be better in that role. So yes, Kobbie Mainoo doesn't suit a 2, but neither does anybody else. And it's shown in our first 2 games. It's shown in the last 6 to 12 months. I just don't see how the club could possibly, and I'm not accusing them of doing it yet, because again, at the moment, it's all smoke, but there's no smoke without fire, guys. I can't wrap my mind around how the club could possibly even consider letting a player of Kobbie Mainoo's talent leave the football club because a manager with 7 wins in 30 Premier League games doesn't see a place for him in his team. And I'm going to steal a quote from Carl Anka that I heard the other day. If your system can't find a role for Kobbie Mainoo, something is wrong with your system. If this was a team that were winning Champions Leagues or going far in competitions and challenging for the league, a la PSG, for example, take it back to Zaire-Emery, Vitinha, Neves, Ruiz. Yeah, no shit, Zaire-Emery can't get into that team. Those 3 midfielders are playing like the best in the world. They just led their team to a treble. He will have to bide his time. Look at the guys that are playing over Kobbie Mainoo right now. Is this deemed like the most impenetrable level of players in the history of the game? Have they played at a performance level over the last 12 months that no one should be able to come into their position? The system is not working well enough that you can just kind of like shun players to the side. I'm sorry, you can't. Not of that level, not of that talent, not of Kobbie Mainoo's talent. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I don't. Now, I'm never someone to kind of bash this formation. I personally think the formation talk, this whole complaining about the 3-4, I think it's so overstated, honestly. Some of the best managers in the world play a 3-back. Alonso at Leverkusen, Glasner, I rate him so highly. I think he's doing it brilliantly at Palace. Inzaghi over the last few seasons at Inter. I don't buy into the narrative that 3-4-3 is a bad formation. It can't work. Man United shouldn't play it. A formation, guys, is just how the players look on a piece of paper. That's just how they're deployed on a team sheet. The system is not 3-4-3. The system is how the 3-4-3 is executed, is how it's deployed. So Glasner plays a 3-4-3. Amorim plays a 3-4-3. Glasner's 3-4-3 is executed in a whole different way, in the way they build up, in the way they attack, in the way they create chances, in the pace that they play at. The whole game plan is different to Amorim's game plan, even though they both play the same system. You guys might be thinking how, but just think about it, right? one 4-3-3 system is not the same as another 4-3-3 system. One guy might play 4-3-3, but he plays in a whole different way to another guy. So in my opinion, 3-4-3, this whole complaining about it, I think that's result bias in my opinion. If we were winning games with 3-4-3, no one would be complaining about it. A different coach could come in and play 3-4-3, and we could just start winning games overnight. So I don't think it's about 3-4-3, but I will say this. A manager's job, right? There's a few things. Make sure your team is organized to defend well in a block, whether that's low block, mid block, high block. That's up to you, right? But they have to be organized in some kind of block. That's their first job on a football pitch. Second job is to make sure that you can get your team up the pitch, whether that's deep build up through your defenders to your midfielders, whether that's hoof ball up to the center forward, whether it's playing through the wings. Get your team from point A to point C somehow. Again, this is for any manager, whether you're Guardiola or Sean Dyche. Get your team up the pitch. And then get your team to create enough goal-scoring chances to score goals and win games. Those three things are, if we're really kind of putting this into like basic layman's terms, that's what a manager is that's his job. Defend in a block, get yourself up the pitch, and create goal-scoring opportunities. There's no written law on how you have to do it, but you have to do that to win football games. And at the moment, well, I say at the moment, since Amorim came into the job, he has not done that well enough. Maybe the defending in a block, he's done okay. But everything else, our team is struggling to do. So now I need to see a little bit of adaptation. And again, I stress it's not about the formation, but the system, the way we're playing, if we continue to see what we're seeing, bro, you are not Guardiola. You are not Sir Alex. You haven't reinvented the wheel here with the way you play. If at some point the results continue and the performances continue, you are going to have to tweak things. So this insistence to play every single game the same exact way, and if you don't fit it, you're out the team, and the results continue the same way, my brother, you are just writing your death wish. You are writing your fate. I said it the other day, right? The club deciding to back a manager who might not even be in the job in the next 10 games over the best academy product we've had in years. That would be the most delusional thing ever. And people are saying, what? You're only going to give him 10 games. Like, you're part of the problem. What, you think he's going to be sacked in 10? You're part of the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, have you seen the guy's win percentage rate? It's not my fault. I'm not the one losing games for Man United. This is professional sport. This is elite level sport. At some point, he's got to start coaching winning football, or he's going to be out of a job. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm sorry. Do you guys want me to feed you sweet nothings? Yeah, guys, it's all going to work out okay, guys. Just remember how it was for Fergie at the start. Now you got to win games. And if you're not winning games, find a different way of doing it. But I'm sorry. Isolating a player that 2 years ago, the entire fan base were all singing off the same hymn about, right? We were all waxing lyrical about Kobbie Mainoo. Isolating that guy while continuing to still pound the rock the same exact way, hoping for different results. You're not getting anywhere with that, man. You're not. And there's a very easy way to lose people in this fan base, right? This fan base has been very, very patient with Ruben Amorim. Very. For a manager of his record that he's had, I mean, he's got a worse record at United than Gary Neville out of Valencia. For a manager of that poor of a record, this fan base has been extremely patient with him. They've shown him insane levels of grace. But there's a very quick way to lose this fan base, and that's neglecting academy players. Man United is a football club that more so than almost anybody ever, its roots are important. And Carrington, Man United's academy, that is their roots. This is a club built off youth, courage, and success. So much so that the damn phrase is printed on the back of their shirts. Youth, courage, success. That's the identity of Manchester United. So we as a football club, as an institution, our identity is more tightly linked to players that come through our own ranks than virtually any football club on the planet, bar maybe Ajax and Barcelona. We have a record that I can't remember how long it stretches, but can someone in the comment section let me know the last time Man United went into a game without an academy player on their bench or an academy player in the squad? I can't remember the last time it happened. I'm gonna look it up right now. Manchester United have now had at least one academy graduate in every matchday squad for 87 years, dating back to October 30th, 1937. This is what it means to us. This is what it means to us. From the class of 92, the Busby Babes, Marcus Rashford, Jesse Lingard in the cup final, Kobbie Mainoo. This is what it means to this football club. This isn't just any old player, Kobbie Mainoo, man. And look, you don't even have to be a huge fan of his game. You could still think he's got room to improve. I certainly do. I don't think Kobbie Mainoo is the finished article. But one thing I am sure of is if this football club makes the mistake of allowing this young man to leave Man United, the short list of clubs interested in him will be outrageous. I'm here to tell you right now, if Man United makes the mistake of letting Kobbie Mainoo depart the football club for his 21st birthday, the short list of football clubs will be outrageous. We've already seen some names, but I'm telling you, there will not be a football club out there that does not inquire about his services, because the talent is undeniable, and he's 20 years old. I know I've said 19 at times, sorry. He is 20 now. He's 20 years old. It's actually it's sickening to me that I even have to make this video. Like, how this is even a possibility, how this is even distinctly a reality, is an absolute disgrace. It's blasphemous in my opinion. I'll go as far as to say that. A football club in 16th place that just finished 15th could be losing their star academy player. The best midfielder that this club has seen go from the beginning of the ranks to the end, because I won't count Paul Pogba, right? He's a Havre product, right? But the best midfielder that this club has directly produced since Paul Scholes, and we're talking about him leaving the football club before he turns 21. I'm very, very happy and relieved that there's a week left of the transfer window, and that because of that, this move doesn't look like it's going to happen. But I'm sorry, every single week, Ruben Amorim persists with leaving this guy out the team, or even best case scenario, gives him limited game time. What is right now a very, very small possibility will very, very quickly become an ever-growing reality. Don't think just because he's from Man United, he's from Manchester, he's from the academy, there's no chance this guy leaves. Because this is how football clubs do it, man. They use your loyalty as a weakness, and they expose it and exploit it. They'll be going into these negotiations, and trust me, I know this because I've spoken to players. They'll be going into these negotiations and trying to use his roots and his loyalty to the club and exploiting it to get what they want out of this contract. That's what they'll do. Trust me, I've spoken to players. I've spoken to agents. I know how this works. And I'm not trying to say that Kobbie Mainoo and his team are completely in the right here. They've got to come to an agreement as well too. But I'm sorry, guys, if you're a Man United fan, you should be wanting Kobbie Mainoo and Man United, this partnership, this relationship, to continue for the rest of his career. These kinds of players are ones that you should be making the cornerstone, right? Talk about Lenny Yoro. We signed him young from Lille. Guy looks unbelievable. Youngster, blossoming with talent. That's a guy that you want to see the football club build around. You want to see him play his entire career at this club. Kobbie Mainoo, it's the same thing, man. You want to see this guy blossom and grow into one of the best midfielders in the world, and you want to see him do it at your club. I think it would be an absolute catastrophe. And what I respect so much about Kobbie is he's kept quiet. You haven't heard a peep from him. There's never been any questions about his mentality. There's never been any questions about his attitude. His performance level, I don't think, has completely fell off a cliff. Seems like a real good kid with his head on his shoulders and someone who wants to stay at Man United, but ever increasingly, that's seeming to become more and more unlikely. I'm rooting for him, and I'm rooting for a real positive conclusion to this saga. One that sees Kobbie Mainoo spend the next however many years on his contract it'll be at the club. But I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't nervous right now. And everybody on social media that I seem to be seeing saying, oh, this is all gaslighting, it's fear-mongering, it's just smoke. I'm going to say it again. There is never any smoke without fire. I'm going to watch the Grimsby game in about an hour. I don't know when this video comes out, right? I'm sure he will play in this game. But I think we need to see a real quick change in a lot of things, right? In performances and results, and probably mindset from Amorim as well, too. Now, that's not to say Mainoo himself can't do any improving. Kobbie absolutely can. But we need to see it quick, man. Because it will be a travesty if we lose this kid. Telling you right now. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts as well too, man. Get involved in the comment section down below. What do you think about Kobbie Mainoo in the situation at the moment? I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.